He's PennLive Steelers beat reporter Nick Farabaugh. I'm John Luciew. We are live on YouTube on a special Monday edition. This is because Nick and the Steelers have to get out of the country and over to the Emerald Isle where they're going to get their Guinness on. And of course, play host to the Minnesota Vikings in the first ever regular season NFL game in Ireland. And we have to know that that was probably a long-time dream of Dan Rooney, who was the ambassador to Ireland under Obama. And right before we went on the air on YouTube, Nick was telling us of his interesting coverage plans and his plans to sort of get into the vibe of Steelers Nation overtaking Ireland. Make us jealous. Tell us, some of what you're going to be doing that's non-football related, but really showing this Steelers Nation fan heading over there to watch this first ever NFL game.
Yeah, it's going to be a ton of fun. Obviously, I'm going to go around Dublin and see some of the great places over there. Places like St. Patrick's Cathedral and the castle there and the Book of Kells and all this great stuff around Dublin. I'm really excited to see, Center City and everything. And obviously we'll run into Steelers fans there. I'll check out the Steelers Pro Shop that is in the middle of the smack dab middle of the city. That'll be fun to see. There will also be a few things. Art Rooney is going back to Newry up in Northern Ireland. That is the place where the Rooney family is originally from. So that'll be a cool thing to see. They're also going to host an event in Belfast and around the country, I believe. So they're going to have a bunch of other events as well happening in Dublin. Some of those I won't be at. Instead, I'm going to maybe go see the western side of Ireland, places like Galway and all those. So I'm looking forward to doing half journalist, half Steelers coverage. I'll definitely have all the coverage of the Steelers fans and how that feels over there and what it's like. Because I really am interested. I'll obviously cover Friday practice and then the game on Sunday. So it'll be a lot of fun.
Hey, it sounds like a ton of fun, except for this game that is looming at 9:30 a.m. stateside Eastern Standard Time on Sunday, because we're coming off of this weird 21-14 win that doesn't really feel like a win against the Patriots. 5 timely turnovers kind of saved the Steelers' butts because for a lot of that game, they seem to be being outplayed by the Patriots. So, going right to our YouTube audience, give it to us straight, Nick. Do we have a chance against the Vikings, given what we saw on Sunday against the Patriots?
I mean, listen, they have a shot. I understand the Vikings are a very talented football team, but no J.J. McCarthy. Could Carson Wentz just explode and kind of blow it? Maybe. So there's some optimism there. I also think that the defense, while tricky with what Brian Flores does, the personnel I think is susceptible if the Steelers can hit them in the right ways. We'll see. Here's the thing about the Steelers, man. They are such a frustrating football team. Both of their wins feel like losses. I mean, honestly, the offense was great in the Jets win, but in this game, I thought neither side of the ball played that well. Good on the defense for forcing 5 turnovers and having great ball search and forcing 4 fumbles and recovering all 4 of them. But there were just a lot of lucky things that happened to the Steelers in this game. The Jonnu Smith fumble just happening to go out of bounds. People forget about that. Rodgers was strip sacked on the second drive of the game, but it was called back because of a penalty on the Patriots. The first 2 drives the Steelers had down the field, a lot of that was penalty yardage on the Patriots, just killing themselves, holds, DPIs. There was a low cut block in there. There was a lot of bad things by the Patriots on those drives. The Steelers ran the ball way better early on in the game too. This is a weird team, man. By the success rates and by every metric, they were outgunned in this football game. Traditional metrics, whether that is, yardage, whether that is success rate, EPA per play, whatever you like. The Patriots won in literally everything. And so Pittsburgh just struggled on offense to generate anything that wasn't a go ball down the sideline or some dump off to Jaylen Warren in space. In terms of the defense, I'm a little encouraged by this, actually, by the defense. They're doing different things. They're showing different fronts, different mug looks, which is, those linebackers walked up when they dropped back. I thought that, I like that they're kind of playing with the personnel, right? More Cole Holcomb, more Jabril Peppers this week. YA Black starts opposite of Cam. Derek Harmon's back. Like, there were some positive things personnel wise, but how many third and longs, John, can we see them
Oh,
convert or get into 4th and 2 and 4th and 1s?
yeah.
I tweeted this stat out earlier today, and this is crazy. The Steelers have allowed a 60% success rate on late downs. It's the worst late down defense in football. Here's the other crazy stat, John. The average go-to for teams on third down against the Steelers, 7.4 yards. It's the longest in the NFL. How is that possible? The Steelers are actually winning on early downs. They're actually
Right.
doing a nice job. They bottled the run up beautifully outside of a few Drake May scampers around the edge that weren't designed runs. They were kind of broken plays. They did a great job defending the run in this game, which I thought is getting overshadowed a little bit because every single time they got into 3rd and 13, 3rd and 12, 3rd and 10, those were 3 different conversions that the Patriots converted in this game. Man beaters. The Steelers play a ton of man-to-man in third down situations, and the Patriots dialed it up. They checked it at the line of scrimmage. Patrick Queen got picked on one of them. Ramondre Stevenson went down the sideline. Diggs was manned up on James Pierre on one play and beat him on a whip route. Like, there were a lot of crazy ones, and obviously the 2 touchdowns, 2 miscommunications again. Both Hunter Henry touchdowns, blown coverages. The Steelers are trying to do different things on defense, and they're rotating more pre-snap. Remember we talked about how static they were?
Right.
They knew because they were moving around on the back end. They were moving around up front. They're showing different things. They would show cover 1 and it would be cover 2. Like, we saw disguises this week, and the execution wasn't fully there. But I appreciate Pittsburgh for trying to push the envelope more.
Right.
These things, I think, at least need to gel a little more. There's so much movement on the personnel side defensively. It was not a good defensive performance in terms of down-to-down success. But I do think there are some positives. The run defense moving in the right direction. Very clearly, that was the best performance in the run defense part of this. I think that if they can just stop getting gashed on 3rd and long, like, it can't be that hard to hit off the field on 3rd and 10 plus. It really is crazy. And I isolated this to 3rd and 10 and plus. And guess what? You would expect, right? The success rate would go down. 75% success rate on 3rd and 10 or longer for the opposing team.
Hmm.
Are you kidding me? That's absurd. The next closest team is at 42%, and it's the Dallas Cowboys. The Steelers are ahead of it by 33%.
Oh my God.
It's absolutely maddening. So what I'm trying to say is, John, I guess you could say the 3rd and long defense is really crazy and it sucks. But also, like, are they that far away from putting it together?
Right.
There's some positives there. The pass rush in this game was absolutely incredible, right? I mean, Herbig was awesome. Watt had a great game. Hayward was great. Harmon was good. There's a lot of positives defensively, but they still got marched up and down the field consistently on the quick game. So there were some missed tackles in space still. So there were some things that are still issues, but there are also positives. But there's just so much frustrating from this football team where you have equally things as bad. So we'll see where it goes. I think this defense is so much more talented than every rating they have right now and every ranking they have. They are a talented defense. I will tell you right now, if I had to list the top 3 problems on this team, talent wouldn't be one of them on terms of that defense. So we'll see how that all works out. But what a crazy, crazy game, and what a crazy kind of weird mixed bag the defense had in this one.
We have a fellow all 22 tape watcher in the chat, and he makes this comment. It really looks like they're getting killed with guys initially starting in pass protection, backs, tight ends, leaking out completely uncovered. Is that a fixable problem?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, these check downs on like 3rd and 13 that then go for like 11 and 12 and become like reasonable fourth and go situations is killing the Steelers. The Steelers also have a 39% blitz rate, and on third and longs, their blitz rate plummets, I think, to like 15% or something like crazy. So they don't really send a lot of blitzes on third and longs. So maybe that's something they could do. But you can see it: pick plays, high-low concepts, kind of isolating guys to the backside of a 3-by-1, rub routes, like all the man coverage beaters come out on these third and longs because the Steelers really do kind of sit in cover 1, cover 3. I'd like to see them bring out some Tampa 2 stuff. And I know it's in their playbook because Mike Tomlin's background is in Tampa 2, and we've seen him do it. I'd like to see them go into the Tampa 2 background right now. I think right now, because they are definitely changing the scheme, John, they've been trying to kind of implement all these new blitzes and new fronts, and that's been, I think, their focus. And now the back end's starting to come into shape, and they're trying to kind of have a vision for it with their disguises. I think they're kind of hesitant to go into new bags yet because they're worried about all the blown coverages that have happened on this defense, and the players haven't necessarily always taken well to it. But I think at some point they need to mix it up because they're so predictable on third downs right now. These teams are just checking into man beaters, and it's really hurting them. The middle of the field stuff, it's the linebackers Queen and Wilson kind of getting worked and moved out of zones. Their quarterback's eyes are kind of moving them and hitting them on these little quick curl routes. These are kind of issues for the Steelers. People say they're playing a lot of soft zone. They're playing too much man, I think, in some situations too, where they're too predictable in their man to man kind of coverages, and they're just matchup hunting things. And then in some zones, you want to be in a line, right? So a kind of an underneath zone. Like for example, on this Hunter Henry touchdown, the second one on the 4th and 2, you want to be in a line so you cover kind of the equidistant blades of grass that you have. So it's got to be tight window throw, right? You want to force Drake May and that tight end to make a play and beat you instead of beating yourselves. What really happened on that play was that they called it, and but the formation and the way they kind of used digs on that confused Ramsey and Wilson, and they both ended up kind of getting herded together. Henry ran right by them for the touchdown. May moved Queen to the left, and that was that. So, there are some things I think they still need to work on communication wise. But at least they lined up correctly up front. I think for the most part, the actual secondary, like the safeties and the corners, were pretty disciplined this week. There weren't blown coverages among them. I thought that was good. I thought Peppers in particular really gave them a lot of boost. I thought Jabril Peppers played really well in this game. So we'll see. I'm really interested to see what this team looks like with Deshaun Elliott and Joey Porter Jr. back. From what I'm hearing, John, they both have shots this week. We'll see. It's a weird practice schedule and the travel, and that makes things a lot harder because you're not going to have rehab that Thursday night that you can get because you're going to be on the plane. But so we'll see how all that goes. But I'm kind of interested to see how they look with Joey and Elliott back in there. But we'll see right now. It's a mixed bag. It's a mixed bag.
Question from the chat about the quarterbacks breaking contain. Is it the outside linebackers supposed to keep contain on the edge, or is one or more defensive backs leaving those spaces open for the quarterback to take off running?
Well, as I said, most of these times they're playing man to man. So these corners are running with their guys, right? And on some of those boots, what you saw was the edges kind of losing contain. I mean, on one of them, TJ got held. So I don't know what to blame. I can't blame him on that one. He blatantly gets held. That should have been called and come back. There was one where Herbig kind of rushed too far up. May also just created a few. Those bootlegs, are tough because if you're someone like TJ, and TJ gets caught in this bind a few times because the big talking point is everyone's running away from TJ, right? They're running to the left side. And so it's not going to TJ. Well, TJ always wants to be involved in the play. So he always has those backside pursuit TFLs that you love to see where he's unblocked and you question why the team left him unblocked. Well, the other side of that is what if I pull the ball back and get him around the edge? That happens sometimes to TJ. So it's usually on the edge rushers, and it's usually a team using TJ's aggressiveness against.
Right.
Herb got beat once on that too, where he couldn't catch up to May because there was a stunt that collapsed down, I believe. So that was a design, and Herb kind of they were hoping that he would make up for it with his athleticism, and he couldn't.
Mhm.
So Drake May, good play there, but outside of that, I mean, they play so much man to man in these situations, cover one, cover three, things where you're following that. It's usually not the DB's fault.
Right. On the flip side, on offense, I mean, we certainly handed the backfield over to Jalen Warren. He got like what 80% of the backfield snaps, and the scripted plays early in the game seemed to work pretty well, but then that running game seemed to get bogged down. What's your sense of what happened there, and also the state of play with that offensive line? It seems like it depends week to week which players are up and which are down.
It's such an inconsistent group. The best way I can describe this, and I think this is an indictment on coaching, is it feels like a group of individuals rather than a collective. It doesn't
Right.
feel like a cohesive group at all. It doesn't feel like they play together. They have trouble passing off stunts, John. Even 4-man pressures. I mean, we know how Brian Flores is going to be this week. He's a wizard in
All
terms of his
right.
looks. It's going to be tough. You got to have your eyes ready. Well, the Steelers O line is very undisciplined with their eyes. They don't communicate well. It's a weird group. And so you see the start of the game, and this is a really good Patriots defensive line. And I thought this might have been the turning point for this O line. You look at the first two drives in the run game, John, and they just cratered this interior defensive line. They cratered Milton Williams. They took Christian Barmore two gaps over on two different straight plays. Like, that's a good defensive line. And you're like, oh, like, what a great start to the game McCormick, Frazier, and Sayamalo had. I thought that interior was going to have a chance to maybe take the Steelers here on a really interesting route. And then it just kind of fell back into the same issues. It was one block missed here, one block missed there. I think that some of their personnel choices in the run game, not Jalen Warren this time, but like how they deploy their tight ends is very odd.
Mhm.
We have too much of Jonnu blocking in line. Stop asking this guy to block edge rushers, please. I'm tired of seeing him get bullied by an edge rusher. He's a big receiver. That's what he is. So stop asking Johnny to put his hand in the dirt and do that. I'm tired of it. There was one play where the key block for John was going to be Calvin Austin digging out a safety. I mean, God bless Calvin Austin. The man is 170 pounds and all bit of 5'8". Why are we asking him to block? There are some weird asks in this run scheme. And as I've broken down in the past, I think it's just some of the blocks they ask these guys to do are just extremely hard. I don't love the scheme. I loved their early scheme. They had a ton of cool stuff. They had the Wildcat with Kenny Gainwell and Jalen Warren. They had a fake jet on the pitch out to Kenny G on the first touchdown, I believe that was. They had a bunch of motion, and you could see the Patriots biting on it because it was a different look. And I was like, this is what it needs to be: motion, misdirection, different things. And it wasn't even crazy. It was just basic inside zone, duo, outside zone. It was different things like that. But they lost their timing. They lost the rhythm. I thought that's what this whole offense lost a rhythm to it: passing game and run game. And the O line, it's like in pass pro and run blocking, you're like, you don't know who's going to be bad this week and who's going to be good the next. Like
Right.
in this game, I thought, Broderick kind of took a step back from last week. He had a really good game last week. Troy Faltano is in his like overthinking stage. I talked with him after the game, and he basically admitted he's a super perfectionist where he wants everything to be perfect. He's overthinking everything right now. He needs to calm down. I
Mhm.
like Troy, and I think he's a good player. But right now he's kind of a little inconsistent and all the way up and down. Sayamalo has had a really disappointing start to the year for me personally. I think Frazier's been really good. I'm not surprised Zach Frazier's been really good, though. He's the best lineman by far. And McCormick has had moments where he was great. I thought he was really good against the Jets. I thought he was decent against the Seahawks. And then in this game, I thought he was really bad. So I don't know. It's just a weird push and pull. So this offensive line is so inconsistent, man. They are so inconsistent. They need to play as a unit, though. They need to play as
Right.
a unit. That's the first thing here. And Pat Meyer doesn't have him playing as one. It's like a group of individuals that were thrown off the street and put into a team rather than one that has been together throughout training camp and a whole process. They don't look like a cohesive group.
I think that's a great insight. It really does sum up the up and down nature, and you never know who's going to be the weak link from week to week. Here's a larger. I always like to search Steelers social media for, the most sort of interesting comments to run by you and get your take on. So this is Pittsburgh radio host Mark Madden. He says of DK Metcalf, who was like the big mega offense, big trade in the offseason, 3 catches for 32 yards on Sunday. The offense is allegedly built around tight ends, but that position totaled 29 yards on 4 catches. And running back Jaylen Warren had a team high 5 receptions for a meager 34 yards. He concludes the passing game has zero identity beyond Rodgers being clutch maybe on 1 or 2 plays.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about this passing offense because I hate it. I really do. And I might go on a similar rant that I did last week to the Steelers passing defense. This offense is a jumbled mess of weird ideas. They have such a limited menu of plays. If you look at what they do out of the gun, it is basically the same 10 to 12 plays and really not much else. It's all Rodgers staples. It's the West Coast staples. It's the stuff Rodgers has run since Mike McCarthy was with him, right? Back in Green Bay. It's the Jets offense from last year. Like you look at it, the fade balls, the slants, different things like that. And then you go into their under center stuff, and it's all the Arthur Smith hits, right? It's the under center play action boot stuff. It's drift. It's different concepts from the Shanahan tree. It's a weird conglomeration that doesn't sequence itself together. And that, I think, is a weird choice. And then they have the screen game, John. And the screen game's all art. That's all Arthur Smith. But you look at this, and I'll give you the average depth of target for Aaron Rodgers in both wins. 4.4 yards, 5.1 yards. Everything is being thrown short. No quarterback has thrown more passes behind the line of scrimmage this year than Aaron Rodgers. No quarterback has thrown more passes that were within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage than Aaron Rodgers. You know what it is, John? You remember 2021? This is last year Big Ben. This is what it is. This is a quick game, yak-based offense. They aren't pushing the ball down the field. And here's the question. Is it the offensive line? Maybe. Is it what the Steelers want? I think. And you know why? Because this is kind of what Rodgers did last year. Quick game, stay away from hits. When you push the ball down the field, it's either up the seam or it's a go ball down the sideline. There's not a lot of digs. There's not a lot of posts. There's not a lot of this creative stuff, right? It's a lot of the same stuff we saw last year from the Steelers in terms of their bootleg stuff with Russ and the Rodgers offense from the gun and empty. It's really not imaginative. The issue I have for the Steelers is how do you get a downfield passing attack going? These teams are going to start creeping up on the quick game, and we saw the Patriots do it. You take away the screens. You take away the stuff in the flat to Jaylen Warren. Granted, the Steelers were able to find some stuff with Jaylen late in the game where he's just a wizard in space. He's so good. Jaylen Warren is. He's been the engine of their offense. And so the Steelers need to find a way to crack this code. I don't know if it's, putting Rodgers under center even more, implementing some gun play action stuff. They tried the play action stuff from the gun last week, and it was really bad. Here's the other issue, and I'll tell you how you know that teams do not care about the Steelers' tight ends. The Steelers played 27 snaps of 12 personnel in this game. The Patriots came out nickel on 21 of those snaps. 21 snaps of nickel, which is 3 DBs, 3 corners. So they didn't bring the other, the heavy artillery onto the field. They didn't match the Steelers' personnel. They said, we can defend your run game out of nickel. We don't have to be in base heavy. And when you're in nickel, there's no mismatch hunting for the Steelers. Jonnu and Muth don't get those mismatches. And so if you can't run out of 12 and these teams can stop you in nickel, it's bad. They're playing in two high shells, they're playing in nickel, and the Steelers aren't dictating anything. Here's the thing, John. When you're in the NFL, offenses are supposed to dictate the adjustments to the defense, right? The defense is the ones that react. The Steelers do it the backwards way. They react to the defense. The defense dictates what they do. Every team that looks at the Steelers on the schedule says we're going to play too high. We're going to really flood the zones in kind of the intermediate part. We're going to tackle well in space. And that's what we're going to do because we don't think they can run the ball and force us out too high, so we don't have to necessarily go in one high man-to-man. And more importantly, we don't have to worry about these tight ends doing any matchup hunting because guess what? We can stick a nickel. So they don't dictate personnel. They don't dictate matchups. The theory of this entire thing was the Steelers are going to be able to dictate personnel defensively and dictate what matchups they want. Not if you can't run the football, not if you can't get wins from your tight ends. This is a tight end centric offense, John. They have run the most 12 personnel in football this year, 2 tight end sets. They've run the 4th most 3 tight end sets in football this year. They've run the 31st. They've run the second least amount of 11 personnel, which is your basic 3 wide receivers, 1 running back, 1 tight end. The tight ends are on the field a lot. They don't get used a lot.
No.
They're on Washington in this game too. And I have a real bit bone to pick in terms of playing time. 37% of the snaps for Darnell Washington. This is the guy that should be on the field. He blocks at a high level. He's a good receiver up the seam. He fits what you want to do. Seam balls, crossers over the middle, big kind of hack-a-shack weapon in the red zone. And he's a mauler as a blocker. Why are we giving the guy only 37% of the snaps? Jonnu all the way up at like 68%. I mean, Jonnu I like as a weapon, but he's a different type of player. He is a wide receiver. Teams play Jonnu like he's a receiver. I mean, the Steelers are in 11 personnel with Jonnu. They play it like it's 10. They don't play it like it's 11. They play it like it's 10 personnel with 4 wide. And so it's just it's like the Steelers are oblivious to how teams react to them in some ways. And so, yeah, there's a lot of frustrating aspects of this offense, but they're very one-dimensional. They don't have a large menu to choose from. And I'm not sure it changes really until they run the ball. I think that's the obvious thing. The Steelers kind of right now they pass to set up the run, but I think until they run the ball, it's going to be hard to force teams out of too high. And if you can't force them out of too high, I think it's going to be tough to kind of get those deep downfield shots.
Well, we know that they're finally, Phil, the answer is Jaylen Warren. They're handing him the backfield, so maybe build that offense around him and see if they can make it go, if they can get that cohesiveness on the O-line. Speaking of another running back, the Giants were on Sunday Night Football last night, and there was a little bit of Giants jealousy in Steelers Nation. A guy on social media made this comment: the Steelers made absolutely a huge mistake picking Caleb Johnson over Cam Scatterboo. What do you think of that comment?
I mean, it's week 3. I get it. Caleb hasn't had a good start to his career. And I love Cam Scatterboo. We talked about him a few times here during the draft season.
Right.
I was a Cam Scatterboo guy, and if the Steelers had drafted Cam Scatterboo, it would make a lot of sense. But let's wait a little bit. Scatterboo's going to be a good player. Let's also give KJ a little grace. I know he basically had, the worst start he could have, granted what he did last week. But it's okay. Sometimes it takes rookies a little long to do it. And we've seen this happen before. There are numerous examples where some guy looks like he's trash 8 games in, and all of a sudden the second half of the year or the next year it clicks. So let's give him time. We'll see. It is weird, right? I'm sure when they drafted him in the 3rd round, they thought he was going to be a big part of their rotation. Instead, Jaylen Warren's come up and taken the reins. I think the Steelers have found out very quickly what they have in Jaylen Warren, which I think is a star. I think that they have a star. We'll see what Caleb can be, though. I like KJ coming out of college. I think he's a good wide zone runner. I think he brings things to the table that they like. But I think right now he's also in his own head. and so didn't play at all yesterday. I hope he comes out of the bye. I don't think he's going to play much this week. I think he'll be active, but I don't think he's going to play a ton. Come out of the bye with a fresh mindset and kind of let things reset, and then we'll see where we're at.
Yeah, it's incredible when you think about it. I mean, this after this game in Ireland, you're going to have the bye. You're going to have the first 4-game stanza of this season in the books. And when we look back at this Patriots win, yes, that is going to be key in the playoff race. Probably, let's hope. Hope we're still in that mix late in the season. But do you look at it as the Steelers won this game, or the Patriots, given all those mistakes and the 5 turnovers, gave it away?
I mean, the Patriots definitely gave this game away, but I mean, the Steelers did punch those footballs out.
Mm-hmm.
It's a skill to punch footballs out. Believe it or not,
Right.
it's not always luck forcing fumbles. The Steelers have worked that punching, stripping action, and they work ball search every day in practice. I do think it's a testament to that part of their game.
Mm-hmm.
I think they excelled very well there. I would be, kind of remiss to not say that the Patriots certainly left a lot on the table. And I do think the Patriots did. And there was a lot that they could have done. I will also leave you with the stat here. We're talking about the O-line. To their credit, only 6 dropbacks that Rodgers was pressured on yesterday. I mean, that is good. He wasn't sacked. He was sacked once, but on a penalty.
Right.
But here's my kind of other thing. While the line hasn't been great, Rodgers under pressure has been very scary. He has not been good under pressure. You want to know what he was under pressure in those 6 dropbacks? 1 of 6, interception, and 2 turnover-worthy plays. Aaron Rodgers has sneakily been prone to turnover-worthy plays in his first 3 games. He's 8 through 3 games. He has 3 dropped picks. There have been some things that are scary there too. So I will say this. I think that the Steelers got some luck to go on their side in the Patriots game. I think Rodgers has gotten a little bit of luck on his side. And I do think that they need to find an identity here. But I do think the Steelers did things really well. Their pass rush was really good. Their run defense was good. And they did a great job of stripping balls and doing their ball search. In terms of the offense, I think they got some luck with some penalties. But to their credit, in the first 2 drives, they also pounded it down their throat. I mean, through the first quarter, the Steelers had a 75% success rate running the ball. They really did. And then on that last drive that they had, while they had some help with some penalties, I also thought on 3rd and short, and in those situations, they were able to get it. I think that is an underratedly good thing the Steelers have done this year on offense. If there's 2 things they can hang their hat on, they've been a really good short yardage team this year. Like remember last year when we're like, they can't get a yard on 3rd and 1. This year, they're doing it extremely well at a high level, actually. They're getting those yards. And more importantly, when they get in the red zone, John, they're scoring touchdowns. They've been a really good red zone offense, one of the best in the NFL. I think they're tied for 2nd right now in red zone offense. They're 6 of 7. On 7 tries, they've gotten 6 touchdowns. That is really good. So there is some things to hang their hat on here. And they did win the red zone in this game on both sides of the football. So 7 shots, that's the reason they do it. That showed in yesterday as well. So there are things they did well. This team is very flawed. We know that. They have a lot of things to work on, but there's also positives to this game, I think. But obviously, John, you're not beating Green Bay. You're not beating Detroit. You're not beating Baltimore playing like that. It's just not happening.
Real quick, because we're running out of time, you mentioned him earlier, but it was the Steelers' debut of Derek Harmon, 34 snaps, I believe. What is his season ceiling from what you saw on Sunday? What his ceiling for this team this season?
With Derek Harmon, man.
Yeah.
I mean, Harmon played so well. He collapsed pockets. He was really good in run defense. He was crashing on stunts and beating double teams. He was holding up others to let other guys get free. Cam got free a few times because Harmon held up another guy. It was really good to see Derek out there. And he looked stout. He looked quick. You saw the one play where he came from behind a pursuit and chased down Travion Henderson. I mean, he's doing that. After the game, he was still limping around. He's not even 100%. And after the bye, I think he's going to be pretty close to that. And he looks so good. So I long have believed Derek Harmon can be a difference maker for this football team, and I think he will be. I think the ceiling for this football team really comes down for that defense. Can they kind of figure out how to cohesively play together, and can they become kind of the group we thought they would? Right? There are plenty of teams last year. Think about the Ravens last year. Remember when we were coming into that first matchup, and we were talking the Ravens had the worst pass defense in football. The last 8 games of last year, they had the best pass defense in football. You can easily switch it. The Steelers' defense, I actually think, has a real shot here to gel into something. I am optimistic about this defense. I will be there. I understand that they've had a lot of issues and it's maddening. I actually do think, though, they're trying a lot of things, and I think they have some personnel answers to some of those issues. For example, Keanu Benton is still struggling in run defense. Play Daniel Ekuale more. He had a really good game yesterday. Harmon, I think, is a big difference maker for them up front. There's no black hole on the defensive line anymore with him in there now. So they could be a really, really good defense. This offense, though, has to figure out something that could be more sustainable. Their formula right now, that offense's formula right now, it's not going to survive a whole season. It's cool for 4 or 5 games, but they need to find another conduit there.
All right, Nick, we got to let you go, let you catch your flight. We wish you safe travels to Ireland. Many fun experiences over there. And of course, for all us Steeler fans who are remaining stateside, get to your favorite Irish bar, don your green, black, and gold, and get a nice frothy Guinness. And let's enjoy this early morning Sunday treat, 9:30 a.m. as the Steelers kick off the first ever NFL game in Ireland versus the Vikings. Go Steelers, get the luck of the Irish.